Our magnified attention to detail, I think that's what separates us from the other soldiers. It's that mindset, those small things that we accumulate, which stops us from tripping up down the line. And it's just, we're called the thinking soldier. It's because we don't just run in and headlessly do the job. We think about what needs to be done, how best to execute it, and then we carry out the job to the best of our ability. I think it's all about positive thinking, especially in the military, especially going to war and especially going into these negative situations. You know, war, fighting, it's negative. If you take that on with a negative mindset, you're going to go one way and one way only, and that's very quickly going to go down. You have to attack negatives with positives, okay? And like I said, even with war, you know, there's nothing really positive about it apart from, you know, protecting your country and your countrymen and women. But you have to take that and look at it and flip that into a positive, and it all happens with your mind. But it's also stripping life down to basics. You know, we're complicated human beings, and we add complications on top of that. You know, it's almost just accepting or acknowledging a situation, an emotion, for whatever it is, acknowledging it, processing it, and executing it. It's quite a simple process that I use in everything that I do with my life. Everything it's a numbers game, you know. When I was stacking up against the door, my initial thought was, when I go through that door, I know there's someone stood on the other side with a weapon. When I go through that door, what are the chances of that person, that untrained person, getting 1 or 2 bullets off on his weapon? Okay, the chances are quite high. What are the chances of one of those bullets hitting me in the head and killing me outright? That's very slim. You know, it might hit me in my body armor, it might hit me in the leg. So what are the chances of me actually dying? It's slim, because I'm the aggressor, I'm the trained soldier. By the time I get in and finish the job, or my power's on my back, he will come in and finish the job. So the likelihood of them getting a kill shot is very, very slim. Repetition. I made these assessments after kicking 10, 15 doors down. You just learn to use this emotion. You learn to sort of do these calculations in your head very, very quickly. Fear is always there. Fear is, you know, people who say they can conquer fear are liars. You can't conquer fear. But what you can do, you can harness fear. And you make it work for you. Fear is an emotion that we all have. You know, I could talk to everyone in the crowd here and they would explain fear to me. We'll all have the same explanation of fear. That's how we layer it. You know, we have a horrible tendency to complicate everything that happens, right? Fear, acknowledge the fear for what it is, but then we layer it. We go, right, am I going to die? Am I going to come out of this alive? Am I going to see my family again? That's putting negatives on negatives. The moment, so you strip the emotion, you strip the situation down to what it is. You don't complicate things. And when you can do that, life almost becomes black and white. It's not, but it almost becomes so simple. And that's how I think. I just think in the simplest terms, and I don't complicate things. I've taken a lot of lives, but what I do remember is not necessarily the people that I've killed, because obviously I'm the first man in. I've done 3 tours of Afghanistan. I'm kicking doors down on a daily basis. We're hunting down Taliban commanders. It's, you know, the list goes on. But what I do remember is not pulling that trigger. What people must remember, that my job is to conserve life, is to save life. I only take life when there's a level of evil that's been surpassed, or I'm in immediate threat, or my pals are there's immediate danger to life. But what I do remember is being stood there, and I could have taken a shot, and every time, you know, it just wasn't right, and I took my finger off the trigger. Those are the times that I do remember. There's good and there's evil in this world. I'm a good man, I know that. And if you surpass, like I said, if you surpass a certain threshold of evil, then you do not deserve to be walking this planet. And that's how I saw it. I never saw it as, again, it was never personal. I never saw it as this is someone's, you know, listen, it's one of those, if you live by the sword, then you must expect to die by the sword. You know, it's just, again, taking extreme ownership of yourself, you know, holding yourself accountable. But we train our whole lives to do that. I wanted that fight at the highest order. I trained my whole career to fight, you know, and when it came, it was just like, you allow me to do my job. You know, there is the other side of it. Of course, there's the other side of it, and it's traumatic. But I love my job. You know, I prioritised my job over my family, over my children, and I'm not proud of that. You know, but I did. You know, it was just, I was waiting for that call, waiting. You know, first I want to be the first man through that door. I want, you know, use me. You've trained. You spent millions on me, training me. I joined the army because I was a very self-sufficient young man. You know, I always wanted to stand on my own 2 feet. I always wanted to, you know, to do my own thing, and I always loved the challenge. I'm an extreme doer, you know, and I'm not an intellect, I'm not a bookworm, I do. And 9 times out of 10 I fail, but I learn from that and I grow, right? So the military was just appealing because I could get away and do my own thing. I could have a roof over my head, be fed, all my, you know, little bit of money that I got, I could start to build my own life the way I wanted to. So it wasn't, I'm going to go in and have this amazing career in the Special Forces. It's like, you know, as a youngster, all right, let me stand on my own 2 feet, let me hold myself accountable for my life, and let's see where it takes me. And then the stepping stones, just, you know, I was just good at what I'd done. I loved extreme soldiering. You know, I was a para, then a Marine, then a sniper, then a recce troop operator, and obviously the natural progression was into the United Kingdom Special Forces. I have this reoccurring dream, and again, it's not flashbacks to that. I'm in a war zone with no weapon, and it's a reoccurring dream, and I'm always on the run. I'm always running from a conflict zone, because I get into this zone, I find myself in this conflict, and then I've got no weapon, and the enemy are there, so I'm like, right, I've got to go. Yeah, and I just find it's really strange. I suppose it's the reverse of what I used to do. And again, it's not, you know, it's not anything to do with flashbacks or anything like that. It's just a reoccurring dream that I've had since I've left. I thought it'd be quite easy. I thought, you know, if I can train myself to be the best soldier in the world, and I can train myself to be the best civilian in the world, but it didn't end up like that. You know, 6 months after leaving, I ended up in an altercation with the law, and I ended up serving 4 months in prison. I got into a nightclub altercation, and I ended up having a fight with a police officer. I was intoxicated. It was a clash of authority, basically. I reflected in prison about the time that I spent in the military and what I need to do to fit into society. And, you know, it's not any going on courses and, you know, becoming whatever it may be. It's just retuning your mind. That's all you have to do, is you just have to retune your mind, and that's exactly what I've done. I made a mistake, put my hands up, done my punishment, job done, move on.